Okay, Novak Djokovic has made a quite momentous decision. He has appointed Andy Murray as his new coach. This is a big risk for both. Andy Murray, at the elite level, hasn't done any coaching. He may have done coaching clinics, but at the elite level, has not been a professional tennis coach. Both great players in their prime. Djokovic is still winning titles, but is towards the end of his career, and Andy Murray is just retired following the Olympics. So Andy Murray, I think, would still be physically fit, but he's obviously had his injury problems, some major surgeries, and that did hamper his career over the last few years. The fact he returned from that hip resurfacing surgery and played on for a couple more years is testament to Andy Murray. He was never the same player, not quite as mobile. There's still a bit of aches and pains there, as there will be with hip resurfacing surgery. You normally see that after a car or motorcycle accident. Not gonna lie, when you have that kind of surgery, you've normally had a pretty hefty high speed, high G force accident where you've been potentially thrown from a vehicle. Um, so to have that kind of surgery was a big thing. But in saying that, at their peak, great rivals. It's going to be very interesting to see with an inexperienced coach at the elite level in Andy Murray and Novak Djokovic, a very experienced player, who I don't think needs much more coaching to really, win much. He's basically not uncoachable, but he can basically coach himself if he wanted to. How this relationship works. Now, in the world of professional tennis, players and coaches regularly do the merry-go-round. Ivan Lendl was Murray's coach at his peak, and they obviously won the Grand Slams together. But Murray's had multiple coaches, including his own mother. So Andy Murray's gone through his coaches, and Djokovic has had many different coaches. So the player-coach dynamic, it's very rare that a coach will stay with a player for that player's entire career. A player will go through multiple different coaches at different phases of their career. And they may have a coach if they're playing singles and a different coach if they're playing mixed or normal doubles. So players will have different coaches at various points and different coaching support teams as well. And they will regularly change them. The fact that Djokovic has chosen Murray is very, very interesting. Now, Murray, as I say, has got to learn the ropes as a senior professional coach. And this is a big assignment for him because Djokovic wants to win yet another Australian Open title and continue, and also break the record for the most Grand Slams ever won by a player. That's Djokovic's goal, is to set records at this point, and win as many titles as possible. And if he wins the Australian Open, he will break the joint record he holds with Rafa Nadal for most singles titles. So that is what's at stake here. And what we can gather from reports is this arrangement, where Andy Murray is Djokovic's coach, will last until the end of the Australian Open, with the potential for an extension of that coach-player relationship. Now, they could have a great Australian Open. Djokovic wins the Australian Open, breaks the Grand Slam winners' record, and they part ways. Or they have a good tournament, they win, and they continue on, and then at some point Djokovic retires and they both become coaches for players. It's going to be interesting. Or they have a poor tournament, they fall out because they are big personalities, it doesn't work, the chemistry isn't there, it's not a working relationship, the egos clash, the personalities clash, and it's a disaster for both. Those are the outcomes, basically, of this. It's a big risk for both, and obviously Djokovic is not fully fit at the moment, although he obviously is coming off the back of winning the Olympic gold, and Andy Murray's coming off the back of a great career, has been out of active tennis from playing now for a good 4 months, 5 months. Obviously he's keeping himself fit, because to be an elite tennis coach you've got to have some fitness and mobility, and they're roughly the same age. It's going to be interesting how an ex-player and a current player of roughly the same age, who were rivals at their peak, in their prime, how that relationship works. There is risk involved. It's going to be interesting. One of the greatest players of all time, if not the greatest player of all time, and the best British player of all time, and one of Djokovic's greatest rivals, ironically, is now his coach. And of course, people of my age group have grown up watching these two play at their peak. And while Andy Murray, I think, potentially underachieved, and I think injury did impact his final achievements, I think he was a great ambassador for the sport, and he is a multiple Grand Slam champion in his own right. And any other player, that would be, of any other nation, that's a fantastic achievement with what he's done in the sport. Djokovic is aiming for potentially unbeatable records, because looking at the current crop of players in the top 50, top 100, it's a lot more competitive now. You can't go, that guy's going to win all four Grand Slams in a year, or that guy's going to dominate. It's looking a lot more open and competitive than the Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, potentially Murray era. I think we're going to see a lot of Grand Slams going a lot of different ways, and a lot of singles ranking tournaments getting won by different players. We could potentially be on the cusp of a very competitive men's tour in tennis. And Djokovic is winding down his career. So we'll see what happens between these two. We'll see how the relationship works. And if it does continue to bring success for Djokovic, Andy Murray could be on the gateway for a great coaching career in tennis, as well as a great playing career. So there we are. Novak Djokovic appoints Andy Murray as his new head coach. Place your thoughts in the comments section below. Does this appointment surprise people? And I will also say this before I depart. Great players don't always make great coaches. But we saw what Ivan Lendl could do for Andy Murray. He was a fantastic player, multiple Grand Slam winner. And Andy Murray repaid the faith that Ivan Lendl showed in him by winning Grand Slams. So they're great players becoming great coaches is more of an exception rather than the rule. Just in any sport, let's see how Andy Murray does, and let's see if Djokovic can continue to win tournaments with Andy Murray as his new coach. But there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts in the comments section below. I'll have some more content for you guys very, very soon.